First of all, I want to say thanks for all the time that you put into the budget and everything that you do for our city. It's a tough job. I heard you staying late tonight. It's great that we're here today, though, and it's wonderful that we can be having democracy in action. These kind of community forums are so incredibly important also, so thank you for everyone for showing up and deputing. My name is Anne Borden King, and I'm the co-founder of Autistics for Autistics. I notice my time isn't running yet. Should it be started?
That happens sometimes if I hit the button by accident. I hit it twice. There you go.
Great.
Thanks for pointing it out. You might have bought an extra minute.
Yes, so I'm the co-founder of Autistics for Autistics, Self-Advocacy in Canada. We are an autistic-led and run organization. We advocate for all autistic people, including non-speaking people and people with intellectual disabilities. And we're also members of the Disability Coalition of the Greater Toronto Area. I agree with what Beth Herkovitz, I believe her name was, said earlier when she said our city doesn't have time to wait for the province to get itself in gear. I don't think any of what people are talking about today are particularly partisan issues. It's really about money, collaboration, cooperation, and it's about the budget and where the money that the city does have is allocated. Autistic and intellectually disabled adults always seem to be the last in priority for budget initiatives. And we get told year after year, well, this year we have to focus on XYZ. Next year we'll do the new innovative programs for autistic people and disabled adults next year. Except we're told that every year. And since deinstitutionalization, which was half a century ago, Canada and the City of Toronto have not caught up with what the rest of the world is doing, particularly in the United States. To be help to people that are autistic or have intellectual disabilities. We still have group homes, and these are what we call the small I institutions. Group homes are a terrible place to live. They're segregated, and there's a lot of abuse. There's little oversight, and there's basically no one keeping an eye on what goes on in those places. The city needs to step in and really do oversight in the group homes. And the ultimate goal, of course, would be phasing group homes out in favor of independent, supported living. Because every autistic person and every intellectually disabled person that I talk to wants the same thing. They want to have their own apartment with roommates where they can go in the fridge anytime they want, not the group home model at all. And they want to have a part-time job with some accommodations at their job. They want to work. And what we need to do, I think, is to, first of all, educate and incentivize employers to hire part-time autistic and intellectually disabled workers through pilot programs. If it isn't being done by the province, then the city can pilot something. Somebody has got to get started on this because people are just sitting at home in their parents' house or in a group home, and they're not able to launch. And it's very, very important for their futures and for our city and for inclusion to allow that to happen. I think also, obviously, if we were to phase out group homes, then we need to look at models in other cities. And there is a rich range of models, particularly in US cities, but even in Ottawa with the Live, Work, Play program. Models for people with intellectual disabilities and autistic people to have their own place with supports in place, just like other disabled people have. It's really time to move forward and catch up with what everyone is doing in other cities. And we know a lot. We've written reports to the federal government on this as well. And we would love it if you'd reach out to us. Our website is A4A, so A4A Ontario.com. And our email address is A4AOntario@gmail.com. And we'd love to talk about the options that are available for the city. And we'd like to see it start happening because people are just waiting for this. Autistic and intellectually disabled people really are supposed to be a part of the City of Toronto, but more needs to be done to create this inclusion and to create futures for everybody. And I actually think I'm done, so I'm a little early. I'll just yield my time for questions.
Okay, Councillor Moyse has some questions, so hang in there.
Just one. I didn't realize, I don't think, the city actually runs group homes. I thought it was CAS and other agencies, nonprofit organizations that ran group homes.
What we're asking for is regulation and monitoring of group homes. And if the province is not stepping up to do this monitoring to stop abuse in group homes, then we need to come up with a different model, or the city needs to put more pressure on the province to stop human rights abuses, which happen every day in our group homes and are unreported because a lot of them are public-private partnerships owned by big corporations, and a lot of terrible things are happening in these spaces. In addition, other cities in Canada, as well as cities in the US, are taking initiative as cities, rather than relying on the province or the state, to begin pilot programs for independent supported living, like, for example, the Live, Work, Play program in Ottawa, where a person with an intellectual disability or who's autistic can have their own apartment with a roommate without it being a segregated group home. So that's a pilot project that the city could begin to start to do, rather than just waiting for someone else to do it. I would hope the city could take initiative on that.
But are group homes not provincially regulated?
They're not monitored.
Provincially licensed.
There's no regular monitoring. A lot of them are run by private companies, and nobody's coming in and keeping track of what's going on in there. That's why people are getting, strangled and hit, and people that work in group homes end up being prosecuted. There's a lot of violence. The vetting of the people that work in the group homes is also not universal. They're allowed to even hire people that do have a criminal record. Even there have been instances where someone who had committed abuse in a former group home was hired by another group home, because they're not keeping track of how this is all happening. It's very corporate structure as well in a lot of the group homes run by these giant corporations. They're not keeping track. They're moving people around like chess pieces, and the humanity is really lost. And we certainly hear about a great deal of abuse in these spaces.
I don't disagree with any of the comments you've made, but I'm just thinking there are group homes across the province, and wouldn't it make more sense to be provincially regulated?
I think it would make sense, given, of course, we're also speaking to the province about this, and we're also speaking federally. We're getting a little more traction with certain people in the opposition to the federal government, interestingly, who are more willing to do this. But I would like to see the city, like other cities, particularly in the US, and I can certainly share with you how cities have taken control of regulating and monitoring group homes to make sure that it happens, as well as initiating pilot projects that are not a group home, that are just an apartment, so that, you can launch a pilot project to do right now in housing, to make sure in community housing, to start to set people up with something that's a better alternative than the group homes. We've got another, how long? Probably another decade of the current provincial government, and we don't have a decade to waste. So I think it's time to think outside the box and start to come up with better solutions.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Moyes. And thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much.